How's it going? Stems is a term you hear a lot today. People throw it around often and it means a few different things. So let me just break down what people are talking about when they say stems. They usually mean the multi-track files, meaning all the pieces of your song that are in the DAW, which is just another word for digital audio workstation, the thing you use to record, Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, BandLab, whatever it is, that is the DAW, okay? Each vote, like when you record your lead vocal, that's one track, one multi-track audio file, also referred to as a stem. It's the lead vocal stem. If you record a background vocal, like a harmony or something, that's another multi-track file. It's another stem. It's the background stem. Today, people use the word stems to mean multi-track files. It's the same thing. So just know these terms. What it used to mean is stereo mix. That's all it stood for. Stem meant stereo mix. So people would often use it to take things like within a mix and you break them down into a group that makes sense. Like, for example, it's not uncommon on a guitar. If you're miking a guitar cab, you could have two mics on it. You could also have multiple guitars in the song. You could have 2 or 3 or 4 guitars in the verse or whatever, or 2, 3, 4 guitars in the chorus. But the point is you got a group of guitars. So if you later wanted to make pieces of this song available for, let's say somebody wanted to license your song, if they're trying to do a sync license, a lot of times they're going to ask you for a bass and drum mix. They may ask you for an a cappella version. They may ask you for a TV track, what they call it, which is basically like the song without the lead vocal in it so that somebody could jump on and sing to it or whatever. I mean, they could ask for different things and you would be able to give them that if you had the stems. So understand that the stems is a very valuable thing to have whenever you record with anybody. If you're in their studio recording, at the end, if you can, you want to ask for the stems, and you may have to pay extra for it because it takes time to create them. If they're using outboard gear and stuff, they got to run it through in real time. So it may take a long time and they may charge you the time to do it, but it's still worth getting because that will allow you to remix the song later from scratch. You could essentially do anything you want with it, in addition to give anybody the sync license stuff they may need if they want a different version of your mix. Because if they want the song to end with a sting or something, if you have the stems, you could probably put that together, And bottom line is, you want to be able to reserve the right to do whatever you want with your song. So it's worth the investment to spend a little bit more and get the stems. In my opinion, it's worth it. The same thing, I'm just saying stems, but it's the same thing for multi-track audio files. If you're calling it that, the multi-track files, you should get the multi-track files. And here's another thing. If you're in a place where there's a guy, recording with you or whatever, and you want the ability to really change everything he did, you need the stuff raw, dry. You need the shit with nothing on it. The opposite of wet. Okay, so every effect, take it off. Everything he has on there, plug-in wise, take it off. If the person doesn't know what they're doing, whatever they're adding is more often than not hurting rather than helping. So on the odd shot that it's helping, you could ask for it with everything on and everything off. Because if anything helps, you'll use that too. Or you won't have to recreate a sound that's great, like a delay or something that works well, use it, okay? But if we're talking about just the mix doesn't sound good and you want it to sound better, well, guess what? You just want it raw and you want to start from scratch anyway. So if it's a little fix or a little change or creating, different versions of the song for sync license or whatever, you're going to want the stuff with effects, so you would want it that way. But if it's to remix the thing from scratch or do something totally different or whatever you want to do, you would want it dry. So, while you're asking for stems, you may consider getting them dry too. There's no way that's necessarily the correct way to go about this. Like, it's not the same for everybody, and it's not the same for every song. Some songs may have a lot of stuff in it, and you need to come up with a way that makes sense to print stems of that stuff. In other words, it may not make any sense to print all the keyboards if you got 16 keyboards in the song. You may just want a group of the verse keyboards and a group of the chorus keyboards on a stem. So, or something like that, where it makes sense. You got to figure out how it would make sense for your specific song. And once you do that, you're like, okay, there's a lead vocal and a bunch of backgrounds. Let's put all the backgrounds on one stem. So I have background vocal stem, then lead vocal stem. You're planning it out in your head and you're writing it down. This is what you're telling the guy you want. It's prescription based. It's only what you need for what you want, and also it's what will allow you to make other versions later. So you got to really think it through. You got to decide exactly what makes the most sense for you based on the instrumentation in your song and how you recorded it, the whole thing. All right, so this is valuable intel. I'll get more at you mad soon. All right, you guys got this. Piece of cake. You just get a little more info over here. That's all. So I'll see you soon. Take it easy. Custom Cut.